So for assignment 5.1, you're going to explore the ISTE standards for students. You looked at the standards for educators in the starter, and here you get to look at the standards for students. We're going to build on that in future weeks. One thing to know, you're going to have a strict and possibly difficult word limit on this assignment, 150 words for items 1 through 6, which you'll see below. And that's to encourage you to find different ways to express your thinking and learning, and to get you to use the tools this week. And so your tech tool options this week should be either a dynamic presentation tool or a video editing tool, or both. So dynamic presentation tools, it's not that crisply defined. However, dynamic presentations are like PowerPoint, but with a little or a lot more pizzazz. So if we click on the bookmark here, it takes us down to a little more info. And it says, in the old days, PowerPoint slides, Keynote were the bread and butter, and they've gotten better over the years. But other presentation tools have evolved more rapidly, and they include things like Prezi and eMaze are things that a lot of folks have seen, but Haiku Deck, even Microsoft Sway. There's others out there, but those are just some of the easiest to find and work with if you're interested in doing that. So one option is to choose one of those and then present your responses to the prompts. And then sorry for the rapid scrolling. The other option would be video editing, where you'd edit an existing video file. And what does that mean? That's just one that you've created, like with your phone or as a screencast, or that you've found somewhere else. The key for this part of the assignment is mostly that you've got a video file that you're modifying, you're doing something to it. So there are a lot of possibilities for what you do, voiceovers or sound effects, drawing or typing that appears as the video goes along, slow-mo time lapse, split screening with something else, kind of whiteboardy type supplement to what is going on in the video. And just a word, a lot of, especially iPhones, you probably already can do much of this stuff. If you already know how to do that, again, I'll just, for your edification, try something else and make it about learning something. I can't check on that, but it would be best, since you're spending the time to do this, that you spend the time to learn something new, or at the very least, try to figure out something to do with the tool that you already know, but just don't know how to do yet. So learn whatever tool you know in more depth. So for the details, there are two sections to the assignment. One is the ISTE standards section, and the other is the tech tool learning reflection. That's similar to previous weeks. So for the ISTE standards for educators, you got 6 questions, 150 words, plus whatever else you produce with your tech tools, for all 1 through 6 combined. If you're doing math in your head, that's 25 words per prompt. And the prompts are this. So the first 2 are about standards for educators. So from the standards for educators, identify and explain or illustrate which standard have you grown the most in the last 5 weeks. And that can include just not necessarily from this class, but also just from going remote. And then which standard have you the most room for growth in the upcoming weeks and months? Again, just a little explanation, illustration. Remember, if you've used 100 words for the first 2, you got 50 for the last 4. And the standards so now moving on to the standard for students. Generally, what are your students, real students or imagined students if you don't have your own, what are their greatest strengths related to the standards? An example that clarifies what someone with that strength might look like. And then generally your students, and again, this is kind of generally speaking, what your students' greatest area for growth among the standards for students is, and an example that illustrates how or why you chose the standard that you did. So that's 3 and 4. And then, if you've used a total of 125 words for the first 4, now you've only got 25 words left. And so the last 2 are just general questions about strategies that you could use as the designer of learning experiences for your students. So number 5, how could you, what's a specific strategy you could use to support your students' continued development of the strength that you identified in number 3? So this one here. And then the 6th one, what's a strategy you can use as a designer to support your students' growth in the area that you identified in number 4, area for growth. And so when we talk about strategy, it's just like regular classroom practice or specific assignment or kind of something in the rhythms of the classroom that you adopt, et cetera. Just what can you do to help students learn that? And then that's the end of your 150 word limit. And then for the learning reflection, just pretty straightforward. Which tech tool did you use and why? Would you learn about that tool? Is there anything you couldn't figure out how to do? And then what's next in terms of the tools you want to learn about? I hope you enjoy this assignment. I think it's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to seeing your responses. And haikus, really a good way to say a lot in not that many words. So feel free to give those a go.